Hello, thank you for tuning in. You're tuned in to The Encourager, and my name is Nehru. It's fairly early where I am still, but I wanted to come on and first of all, thank you for pressing play. And whether you're a subscriber, thank you, or just someone tuning in, maybe needing some encouragement or looking for some type of insight. First of all, I will tell you that your answers are within you, really. And my job is basic, really, compared to yours for your life. My job is maybe add a little salt here, a little pepper there, that sort of thing. But you are the steak. You are that's you, in your life. You are that, and no one else can be. And so I want to talk about attitude for a minute. And we all know, most of us have heard, if not all of us, how attitude shapes what you attract. Okay? And so I've shared my story about my kidney transplant and how I started to say, once I got the download of the words to say in regards to manifesting a healing, whether that healing came through man's hands in a transplant or miraculously through Most High's healing me and me not needing a transplant. I was open to either way, and that's important. But the attitude from the beginning was, one, I knew that the rare autoimmune virus that attacked both of my native kidneys was not going to end my natural life. I knew that from the beginning. When I was laying on that cold stainless steel table and they were putting a catheter in my chest for dialysis on my first dialysis treatment was February 15th, 2013. Again, I'm good with numbers. It's just automatic for me. And so I had the catheter put in maybe 2 days prior, maybe 3 days prior, because they wait for it to kind of heal up a little bit. That is a painful process because they put the line over your collarbone. And we all know our collarbone, you could be obese and your collarbone area is still one of the thinnest areas on your body, right? That's really just skin on bone right there. There's no meat, right? There's no protein in there, right? To between that skin right there on your collarbone. It's a very, very thin spot. It's kind of like your elbow. It's right against the bone. And so that line goes over there and it's painful, and so it took a couple of days for me to be able to move my head comfortably, turn my neck and all of that. But anyway, I was 4.5 years into treatment when Most High gave me the words that I don't need dialysis, I'm just here to socialize. So I began to say this every day as it came to me whenever I thought about it. Whether I was doing dialysis, I could be sitting at home watching TV, it didn't matter what I was doing. Okay, I would just say it. I was married at the time, and so I would tell her that. I'd be like, hey, Katina, I don't need dialysis. I'm just there to socialize. I would tell the nurses that, And so using your words can change your attitude, okay? And so if you're having a difficult time, and this is why music is so important. So if you're having a difficult time this morning or whenever you find yourself listening to this, I think about two athletes that are often compared together one of these athletes are actually forgotten when they talk about this comparison often, and that's the NBA GOAT conversation, right? Which is really a ridiculous conversation. Different rules when Michael Jordan played than there are today. The NBA today is soft. I don't watch the NBA games. I don't even watch highlights. I might watch the NBA championship highlights, but I don't watch NBA games and all of that sort of thing. Today, I'll go to one, but I'm not going to sit there and watch one on TV. It's not that important to me in my life to watch that. It's just, that's going to add very little to my life. Generally, sitting there watching a sporting event for 4 hours on a TV. Again, the in-person thing is very different. But they played in different times, right? And then you bring LeBron into the picture. Well, LeBron is a small forward. LeBron plays a different position, so he's going to have probably more rebounds in his career than Michael and Kobe, just because by his sheer position, right? LeBron is an athlete. He is an athlete. If he decided to retire today, or maybe not today, maybe 10 years ago, he could have went to go play tight end in the NFL, right? He's an athlete, okay? Michael and Kobe can't put on that equipment and go out there and be successful. Certainly not in that same position, right? They get crunched, right? So LeBron is an athlete, okay? Something that people overlook is LeBron came straight from high school. Kareem spent 4 years in college working with John Wooden, becoming the absolute GOAT, the absolute collegiate GOAT in all of history for basketball, okay? So it's unfair to compare LeBron's total points to Kareem's total points. If you take away LeBron's first 3 years or for 4 years of points, then that's a fair comparison to what Kareem did in the NBA. Does that make sense, right? So attitude, right? I look at MJ and I look at Kobe, right? And I'm not going to argue anything. There's no doubt whatsoever that the way that Michael influenced the game is the reason why, in my opinion, he's the GOAT. Not because of what he did on the court, because one day someone is going to break those records. One day someone is going to win 7 NBA championships without losing a final. One day someone is going to win 7 MVP finals. One day someone's going to do it. People like Giannis and Wembley, they're changing the game. And again, I don't watch this, right? But I see little clips like on YouTube or whatever else, right? Or them in the news. And so these people are changing the game, right? And they're taking it from where LeBron is leaving it off, okay? And or KD, right? And so that's evolution, okay? But here's how attitude is different when I'm looking at MJ and Kobe, okay? So on the court, it's no secret. Kobe's not very liked by the public, right? People think he's an ass. People think, not realizing that the reason why he was reluctant to pass the ball, especially early on in his career, the reason why he was reluctant to pass the ball is because he felt like if his teammates did not have the same dedication as him, why the fuck am I going to give you the ball when your ass ain't even showing up to practice on time? So the public, they will downplay that part. They won't share that part with you. They will just portray him as this ugly, evil person who's a very difficult teammate. Okay? When in fact, Michael is the real prick. Okay? Michael is the real asshole. Okay? Because if you talk to anybody, they will tell you that about Michael. They won't say that about Kobe. They will say Kobe is relentless. Kobe is fierce. Kobe is right. When you hear him talk about NBA players who've played with both, right? But Michael is an ass, okay? He's disrespectful. He doesn't appreciate the fans. He may today because he's retired, right? But when he was playing, he was an ass. He wasn't giving you his shoes. That kid that's right there on the sideline that got that special seat from the Wish Foundation, Michael Jordan's not giving that kid his shoes. as an example. Kobe will take his shoes off right there at the end of the game on the court and have them to that kid. Okay? These things are an attitude. So Michael had a pissy attitude. Okay? People think Kobe did. He did not have a pissy attitude. He had a get the fuck off me, you can't do anything with me attitude. There's a big difference there. Okay? And so one of the things that I do to help me change my mood, well, there are a couple of things. So one is, I did mention music, okay? And the other thing, or one of the other things, is I speak, right? One of the things that I see in Kobe is that he didn't talk much, okay? And that's kind of how I am. I was having a conversation the other day with someone, and I told them, I said, I'm not good with small talk. And I'm not. I am, in fact, it's annoying to just start speaking just to fill a space or silence. Like, that's annoying to me, okay? Because that shows me that someone's not comfortable with themselves to just be able to sit there in the car and be in the moment and not have to say something, right? Because silence is good. It's golden, truly, right? But so many people are uncomfortable with themselves that they can't be silent around other people or within themselves. They can't be, right? So he said very little. Players often said that he didn't say much on the court at all. He just showed you, okay? I've often said that in my days, these days, whatever I share with you, whatever I post on this platform, on this channel, is often the most that I will speak in any given day. And that's been true for more than a year now. Okay, since I started this channel last year. It's been that way. The most that I've ever talked in a day, probably outside of tax season last year, is here. Okay? And so affirmations. Okay, affirmations can change your attitude. Okay, so this is a pull yourself up by the bootstraps kind of approach here that I'm thinking of right now. Right, so if you want to change your attitude with affirmations, right, that means you're needing to uplift yourself. Your solar plexus is maybe weakened. It could be weakened for a number of reasons. It could be weakened by your own choices. It could be weakened by the people who you surround yourself with. It could be, which is a choice. It could be weakened by things you do to yourself, right? The situations you put yourself in, right? All those things are choices. Okay. It also can be influenced by your childhood and not having healed childhood wounds. Okay. So, when I started saying that I didn't need dialysis, that I was just there to socialize, everybody else was like, oh, yeah, we are, yeah, Kevin, all right, okay, right? And I've never heard anyone say this, that I've ever said this to. Maybe I should ask the nurses, that cared for me at the Next Stage Dialysis Center and that, but they never said, wow, I can't believe it actually happened, or like they've never said that. I don't know what their thoughts are on that, right? And that doesn't matter. But it matters to me in my saying that and releasing that into the air, because it helped me elevate to that place where I needed to be in order to manifest the healing, which came through a transplant on 7/7 of 17. Okay? And so beginning to say that, I began to feel, and that's important. Feel. Okay. Neville Goddard talks about feeling, the feeling of being whatever it is that you desire to be or have or do, or the place you desire to go. Okay? The feeling is extremely important, because if you can feel, let me turn this around. Let me turn this around with attitude. How many times have we assumed something about someone and it turned out to be incorrect? But our feelings got involved. And so we convinced ourselves of something without the evidence. You have the evidence, that's very different, right? That's proof in the pudding. But if you don't, and you just conjure up all these things in your head, right, they can drive you insane. All come to find out that it was all just a bunch of bullshit. And it really wasn't true in the first place, right? We've all been there, okay? That's how influential your attitude is in changing your environment, your external environment, your internal attitude, changing your external environment. That's how strong your attitude is in influencing your life, because that's an energy, and it's really an inner, I-N-N-E-R-G. It's really an energy, okay? And so I began to feel like, I don't need dialysis, right? And so probably much the way Kobe felt about passing the ball to lazy ass teammates, right? I don't need to pass the ball to you, right? I don't need dialysis, right? And so I got this, but I'm take care of this because I did the work. You know what I mean? And that's why no one can talk me away from, out of what I'm doing today and the prophecy that I'm fulfilling. No one can talk me out of it today. I don't care who they are. No one can talk me out of it. You know, I remember, and as if you can't tell, so I was born in the 70s, so I grew up watching Michael. I, in fact, went to see him one time in Chicago. Kevin, one of the women that he was involved with, and she had been with him has been with him since the FBI busted down the door in 2014. But she won tickets when we still lived in Illinois. She won tickets off the radio to a Bulls game. So Kevin took the tickets and he took me and didn't take her. Okay? I think that's wrong. And yet at the same time, I'm glad I'm the one who he chose to go. Right? Because he had other kids. He could have taken someone else. Right? But he took me. Okay? And so I got to see Michael play once. Right? And even still, he's still not my favorite player because of his attitude towards the people. And I think that's so significant because the fucking fans paid his salary. Okay? And so when you are an ass to people, and again, I'm not a celebrity, right? And is there a time when you get tired of people coming up to you signing autographs? Yeah, absolutely. Who doesn't want privacy when you go out in public, right? But yet at the same time, okay, there is a balance, okay? And he didn't and probably still does not have that balance, okay? Kobe lived modestly compared to the money that he was making. Michael lives extravagantly. Granted, yes, today he has a lot of money because of royalties from Nike and all that. His salary in the NBA was you and I's salary compared to what he makes from royalties from Nike, right? So, yeah, so his influence on the game, that is why to me he'll always be in that position, because that Air Jordan symbol, that's on football jerseys, soccer jerseys, that's on everything. That's the reason why to me he's the GOAT. It's not Kareem's, it's not Kobe's image, it's not Shaq's image, it's not Wilt's, it's Michael's image. And to me that's the only reason why he's the GOAT. That's the only reason why. It has nothing to do with the court, because one day someone's going to break those records. Someone is. Wilt had 118 50-point games. Again, I'm good with numbers. Will had 118 50-point games. Michael had less than half of that. But Will didn't win the championships because Russell kept kicking his ass. By the way, in regards to Russell, Bill Russell, not Russell Westbrook, Bill Russell, there were only 10 to 12 teams in the 60s. So it's when you realize that, then you realize, the 11 championships, it's good. I mean, it's 11 championships. It doesn't matter. I mean, it still takes ridiculous amounts of effort to win one championship, right? Shaq said he wanted to win one. He was thankful that he won 4, right? He just wanted to win one. Okay, so it's still but it's not as difficult as going up against 32 teams, 33 teams. That's not the same challenge. Okay, so a lot of these records and stats need to have asterisks by them and all sorts of shit that Stephen A. Smith and all these other people, they ignore, right? Shannon Sharp, who sucks LeBron's, right? So, anyway, so your attitude, right, makes such a big, big difference. This is not an ESPN moment. That's why I stopped myself. So your attitude is so huge. And to me, that is what separates the GOATs from the rest of the players on the field. In whatever arena you're talking about, it could be a sports arena, it could be a community arena, it could be a political arena, it could be a spiritual arena, whatever you're talking about, right? The GOATs are the ones that separate themselves because of their attitude, right? These GOATs are the leaders of their teams and their industry, whatever it is. They step outside the box. They do things that have never been done before, whether it's their practice regimen on the court or their scientific studies in the lab, whatever that happens to be. So in my case, my spiritual journey and all that I do to continue to ascend and enhance my spirit man, right? So all the astral traveling and all that stuff that I do, right? That is part of my attitude towards what it is that I am dedicated to. So with your affirmations, I'm thinking about singers. I'm thinking about song artists. And it doesn't matter what type of genre, what genre of music. They constantly repeat the same thing over and over again in the studio. Okay? These are affirmations. I don't even know if they see it like that. But as they're constantly saying the same thing over and over again, is affirmations. Right? So I'm thinking of an Ice Cube song, right? So mama, don't be mad, I got to show my ass and thank these motherfuckers for my past. I gotta let them know I never break like glass. What you looking at is top-notch world class. Mama, don't be mad, I got to show my ass and thank these motherfuckers for my past. I gotta let them know I never break like glass, cause what you looking at is top-notch world class, right? You say that constantly, that's gonna change your attitude. That's going to change your attitude, right? And so affirmations are extremely, extremely valuable in pulling yourself up out of the mud. Whatever that mud happens to be, that quicksand, whatever that happens to be. I wonder why quicksand exists, actually. What's the purpose of it? If you know, please put it in the comment section. What is quicksand used for? Valuably, I mean, you know what I mean? That adds to society, not takes away from society. What is quicksand used for? So not hiding stuff, right? That's a negative thing. So When you find yourself in a lull, you find yourself looking down at life. Okay? I remember, I keep referencing Kobe. I can't help myself. So anyway, I remember one dunk, and I don't know who he was playing against or whatever, but it was an alley-oop from someone, and I see his number, but I can't think of his name. I think it's number 20. But Kobe got an alley-oop from this guy, and he did this reverse alley-oop, and I don't know who they were, dunk, and I don't know who they were playing, right? And the call was fouled, right? So it was an N1, right? And he kind of like pumped his fist, and he said, and he was like, "Get the fuck off me! He can't hold me! He can't hold me!" Right? And that honestly needs to be our attitude when it comes to the things that come against us, because life has a ridiculously difficult job, but life seems to do it, because Most High is guiding it, seems to do it flawlessly. Life's job is to help us to become our highest, truest, purest version of ourselves possible. So how does life do this? Life does this by blessing you with children. Life does this by removing those children. Life does this by blessing you with the spouse. Life does this by removing that spouse. Life does this by blessing you with the job. Life does this by firing you from that job. Life does this by, that's how. Yin and yang. That's how life is, and that's why life is the way that it is here in the 3D. Because that is what Most High is after. Our highest, purest, truest form of ourselves. Okay? We would be better to be birthed and spend probably the first 12 years away from the majority of the public and just learning who we are spiritually. And yes, as a kid. Yes, as a kid. Okay? Because you are spiritually an adult as a kid. Okay? Adam's spirit did not have to mature. Adam had to mature into his spirit. That's important to remember. Okay? So with your attitude, you can change your environment. Okay? And this is how you go from, and I'm not talking about naturally, it could manifest naturally, but more importantly, and spirit's more important than this 3D matrix, you can free yourself spiritually. And you can become wealthy spiritually. And in some way that will translate into a natural wealth. It may not translate into 7 or 8 digits, 9 digits in the bank account. Right? It may not transform into 6 digits in the bank account. On the earth. But your life will be rich here. If your attitude is in alignment with who you really truly are. And again, most people have way too much interaction with society, and that is what keeps them in the mud. Because you can be around so many karmic people that at the end of the day, you are in now that quicksand. So it's not mud, it's quicksand now. Right? And then it becomes more difficult to pull yourself out of. And so then what happens tomorrow? Well, you didn't pull yourself out of the quicksand during the night. You didn't meditate before you went to bed. You didn't have pleasant thoughts before you went to bed. You just went to bed. And in that place, you went to bed angry. You went to bed disappointed. You went to bed sad. You went to bed crying. You went to bed whatever. And I've gone to bed crying. Trust me. I don't know if I've gone to bed crying. I don't know if I've ever fallen asleep crying. And I've awakened crying. But when you do not change the attitude, an attitude can be translated into outlook. Attitude can be transferred into energy, the word energy. It can be transferred into, right? Whatever word you want to use in the place of attitude, outlook, energy, perspective, mindset, whatever word you want to use. Okay. It's all attitude. And with your attitude, you change your perception. So an attitude is just a consistent way of thinking pertaining to a certain thing or a certain person. That is what an attitude is. Okay? So, again, we see it all the time. More in athletes because we get to hear from them and they are performers. Right? And so we get to see them and we get to hear them and the championships and the rings and the trophies and all that, right? We get to see that, right? And so that is a very in our face kind of way to see how your approach to something can change the game. And that is, the pun intended, right? It can really change the game for you. So as you go about your day today or whenever you're hearing this, as you're listening, consider your attitude in this moment towards your job, your business, your children, adult or still under your authority, your spouse, if you're married, your significant other if you're not, but you do have a significant other, right? Towards it doesn't matter what it is, parents, anything, right? And so you might be saying, well, I've heard you say, fuck your parents, right? And so when I say attitude, right, I don't mean being a doormat. I don't mean allowing people in who don't deserve to be in, right? No motherfucker that's been doing witchcraft against me for a second deserves to be back into my energy for any point in time in my life. 50 years from now, I'm still not going to be letting motherfuckers into my energy that did witchcraft against me in 1985. I'm still not letting you in. And I could be 95. I'm still not letting you in. Forgave you a long time ago, but I'm still not letting you in. Okay? So, an attitude is not being you don't need to be a pushover, right, in order to be a nice person. In fact, if you function that way, you are misinterpreting that or miscalculating, I'll say, that equation. That is incorrect. Okay? Because you will read, if you read about the most successful individuals in the world today and in history, you will find that they spent a lot of time alone. Okay? In contemplation and consideration for whatever their specialty was. They spent a lot of time in isolation, and more so probably as they got older. It is said about men that men become more loving as they age. Okay? I don't know. I guess that's true. For me, it's not. I loved unconditionally when I was 14, and I love unconditionally today at 49. It doesn't. Yeah, you know. The difference is today compared to 14. First of all, I'm under no one else's authority today, right? At 14, I was. So I have complete control over who I let in and let out or kick out of my space. Okay, my energy, not my not the old school social media channel. So throughout your day today, again, whenever you're listening to this, consider your attitude towards the things in life that you are going through that are helping you become your highest, truest, purest version of yourself. And do the things, the work. So show up to your practice early. Be there before everyone else. Be the first one to arrive and the last one to leave. You shut the lights off. Okay? The janitor's not even there anymore. The custodians are gone. Okay? No one is working in my life, not even the witchcraft workers, right? And there are numerous of them that do witchcraft against me. Not even them, not even they are working harder than I am for me. They're not working harder than I am for me. That's why they keep losing. Okay? That's why they keep losing. So if you want to win, yes, it is very true. It sounds cliche-ish, but you have to have a winning attitude. Yes, you do. You have to have a winning attitude. And that winning attitude does not come from an external source. Do not look to the outside for your motivation. If you cannot first motivate yourself, no one else is going to motivate you. No one. Okay? Because there was no one there when I spent 3 days crying under the covers because of a failed engagement with someone who I didn't even understand was doing witchcraft against me at that time and competing against me when I thought we were a team. No one was there to pick me up. No one. No one was there to pick me up when I had the 50 pills in my mouth. No one was there. I had to do that shit my goddamn self. And that's why today, just like Kobe said, when he did that dunk, get the fuck off me. You can't hold me, motherfucker. Get the fuck off me, right? And when you have, and you don't have to say get the fuck off me out loud. You don't have to say that. It kind of feels good. But you don't have to say that. Okay? You will come to strengthen yourself. I was going to say your core. And that's your 3 chakras, by the way. Strengthen your core to become unstoppable. Again, in whatever area that you function in your life, whatever your passion is. When you get to the place to where you can say that and you don't even need a teammate. You don't even need a teammate. That's when. Okay? Today in the physical, to my knowledge, I don't have a teammate. Not to me. No one's out here standing to my left or to my, and if you are, let me know. And I'll use my intuition and discernment to decide if you're really being truthful. To me, there's no one to my left and no one to my right physically that's helping me on this journey. Nobody. Not a pastor, not a therapist, not a counselor, not a psychiatrist, not a psychologist, nobody. Nobody. So you actually lead far less people in your inner life. Energy, you need far less people in that than you think. Far less people. That space in your life is probably overcrowded in most cases. In our lives, it's overcrowded. Mine was overcrowded for 46 years and 9 months. That's what I wrote in my journal a couple of years ago. When I started to awaken, I was dead for 46 years and 9 months is exactly what I wrote. I've been awake for 3 years and something now. or just shy of 3 years. Okay? So consider your attitude today and the people that are influential when it comes to your attitude. Okay? Thank you so much for listening. I hope there's been a nugget or two that I've shared with you. Again, I am in no way perfect. I am in no way, certainly not infallible or please, okay? Don't ever put anyone in a stand like that, on a throne like that. Don't ever do that. Okay? Ever. This is what people do to Joel Osteen's Creflo Dollars. I call him Low Life Dollar. Kenneth Copeland, Gwen Shambling when she was around, whoever that Prince pastor, Asian pastor is, I don't know his full name, right? These individuals, and again, this is part of my mission here. So if you're tired of me mentioning false ass ministers and talking about them because you think they're doing the work of the Lord, then you continue to follow them. You do that and watch the fruit that grows on your tree. You do that. And you continue to give them your money and wonder why you stay below the poverty level. You do that. You do that. Did they invite you onto that jet that you gave them the money for? Did Creflo invite you on that jet? No. I bet. Okay. So how many of you have been to Joel Osteen's house? Confirmation with that Rev, whatever that was, motorcycle, car. All right. So, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Nehru. You've been tuned into The Encourager. And thank you so much again to our subscribers, to those who tune in on a regular basis. Thank you so much. I hope your year is, again, we're nearing the end of the month, is going well. You are growing and dying every day in some way, even if it's in a small way, right? So a leap is a step, but so is a crawl, okay? So is a crawl. Thank you so much. You've been tuned into The Encourager. As always, be encouraged and talk to you soon.